How's everybody doing? So anyway, today, guys, have a very educative topic. We'll be doing a series of this topic on this page because this channel is mainly for the youth, trying to encourage the youth to get independent. So today we'll be talking about because I get questions in the inbox, people asking me how they can migrate to the United States. So I gathered up a little bit of things of how people can migrate. One of it is through education. If you get good grades, you can get scholarships, or you can pay for yourself. You can come direct to the United States. Number two is maybe through employment. If your employment is really needed in the United States, if they cannot find anybody else, and you qualify for that position, you can migrate and come to the United States. But the most common one, which is easy without a lot of other requirements, or the third one, again, before I go to the one I want to talk about today, is investor. If you're an investor, you've got about 500 to 800,000, you can migrate to the States. There are forms you can fill. Again, sometimes they want to use you as a witness. If you witness the crime and United States is interested to take you as their witness, you can migrate to the United States. But the one I want to talk about today is a marriage-based migration. So, for example, if you met your spouse, maybe your spouse came to visit wherever country you're in, and you guys fall in love, the other person can come back and petition for you so that you can migrate to the United States. Or sometimes you can just be here, you came through another way, maybe you came through school or you came through visiting, and you find somebody, you fall in love, you guys can still do the marriage thing and you can stay in the United States, depending on the status of your spouse. If he's a citizen, probably can do it here without even you going back. If he's a green card holder, most likely they'll ask you to go back to your country. Then he can petition for you, and then you come back. You come to the United States. So after you meet your husband or your wife, you start talking on the phone, and you agree. You go, you register, you do your marriage, you do your wedding. What is the next step for you to lawfully stay in America? This is what I want to talk about today. So after you do all that, you need to register with the government for the government to allow you to start staying in the United States. So what people do is they apply for what we call a green card. A green card is a card which lawfully allows you to stay and work in the United States, married to somebody who has legal status in the United States. So once you apply for that green card, then you go for interviews. So this is what we're talking about today. All right, pay attention. So your green card interview would take us at the United States Citizenship Immigration Services, most likely. If you're in America, and if you're not in America, you probably it will probably take part in you find a consulate embassy closest to you. That's where they will assign you to go and do your green card. Your green card interview. So most people blow it up themselves at the interview. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about today. You see, if you know your spouse, even if you know your spouse very well, I think there are a few things you need to do to prepare for you to go for you to go for the interviews. And people are so relaxed, they don't pay attention, they don't prepare. They think just because I stay with this man, I know him very well. And then there are a few things they can ask you which can blow you off. And then that just spoils everything. Because to be honest, that green card interview is only supposed to be like 15, 20 minutes max. Because remember, you're not the only one there. Those officers, they go there to do an 8-hour job. And when they arrive there, it's not only you that are interviewing, they have a list of people, probably 50 by the end of the day for one person, or 25 maybe. So they're not going to spend hours and hours with you. The point is for you to go in and go out. So to make it easy for you, you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared before you go in. So what are some of the things you need before you go in? First of all, you need to have a government ID, like your passport photo. Like your passport needs to be valid at least within 6 months. You cannot go with an expired passport. You need a driver's license, because remember, by the time you applied, they must have sent you a work permit and forms also. So you went to the government office, you got your passport, you got your driver's license. So before you go to that interviews, you need to have them, you need to be prepared to have them with you. So you go with a government issued ID, like your passport or driver's license, a copy of your DS-260 interview appointment notice, because they write you a notice that your interview date is this date. So when you're going there, you need to have your interview, the letter, the printed letter, the headed letter with you, so that because they don't know you, so they need to see and they match with what they have with them on the records. Not when you get in there and they ask you, where's your letter? And then you're like, I didn't bring it, I left it at home. It just shows how unprepared you are. Or where's your driver's license? Or I forgot, or I lost it. If Because you get that later, like mostly it's a month in advance. By that time, you need to make sure you have your driver's license ready. You need to make sure that you have your passport ready. You need to make sure that you have your medical records ready. Okay, so when you have everything ready, it's very easy for you to just go in and go out than when you're not prepared. What else do you need? An affidavit of support from your spouse, of course, or somebody who's sponsoring you. But sometimes there are levels they want you to meet for you to be able to stay here. Maybe if they say you need a minimum of, I'm just giving an example, if they say a minimum of 30,000 a year, and if your husband or your spouse does not make that 30,000, they only make like 20,000, you need to find somebody else who can support you to supplement the other 10,000. So you need all that affidavit of support. Original copies of supporting documents you submitted, your application. You just need to have, you know, if I were a person who's going for interviews and you want this thing so badly, I need to be prepared. I can't go there without being prepared. So I have all these things in my files. So you have all that. The original copies of your supporting documents you submitted, the, which includes like birth certificates, your marriage certificates, your divorce certificates if you're married before, death certificates if your other spouse passed. You need to have all that with you and ready. Also, you need to have a letter from your employer, or a headed letter showing, that showing that you're working or something. What else do you need? An original copy showing married. So you need an original copy also of your marriage. You need all that. Sorry, my phone is going off. The phone is going off. Let me switch it off. Yeah, so you need all that prepared before you even arrive there. So I try to encourage people, because a lot of other people ask me these questions, and when they go there, they don't make it, they fail. and they're asking, I always ask them, were you prepared? Did you bring everything with you? You know, it's sad that you wait for 6 months, 9 months, and you go there, you don't pass the interviews just because you were not prepared. It's actually very sad state of affairs. People need to be prepared in life. So just arrange things, put them in order before you even go there. It's easier that way. Because I was just preparing some notes just to encourage people. What else do you need? Hmm. Yeah, so these are the things you need actually. Your marriage certificate, your birth certificate. You need, if there's any death certificate, your affidavit of support, the letter, the one which they invited you to go for the interviews. You need all that. So, guys, supposing now you go, you're in there, you're with your spouse. The first 5 minutes, honestly, is just you swearing in and asking you all these papers I was talking about. If you have them in place, everything goes smoothly because they'll just ask you driver's license, you provide passport, you provide birth certificate, all these forms I was reading, you just provide. That's done. It's just about 5 minutes and you swear you're done. The next 10, 15 minutes, they just want to find out if your marriage is legit. That's all. People think when they go there, those people want to fail you. No, they don't want to fail. Remember, they don't know you. They just went there to work. They don't know you. They just went there to do their duties. They're clocking in and clocking out. So it's nothing personal. As long as you're prepared, I don't think they've got issues with you. So, what are some of the questions they will ask you? They'll ask you, like, when you're going there, you need to know personal things about your spouse. Even your spouse needs to know things about you. Things like, when is your birthday? Or when is your spouse's birthday? Both of you need to know that. What side of the bed do you sleep at? I mean, if you're married, most people prefer a certain side of the bed. Some people change, but usually married couples, most people know that my husband sleeps on the right side or on the left side. I'm not saying that's the question I'm going to ask. I'm just giving an example. Like, these are some of the questions they ask. Okay, what side of the bed do you sleep on? How do you start your day? So both of you need to be in sync with what you're saying. Or we start by maybe eating breakfast, or we start by prayer, or we take a shower, or we do exercise. You should not be saying, oh, we start a day by prayer, and your husband says, I started the day by going jogging. Yeah, remember, you're in the same house. How can you have different answers? So your answers should be the same, like almost the same anyway, but not somebody says, I start a day by going to do laundry. Then the other one says, oh, my husband starts the day by going jogging. That just shows that something is not adding up. So that's what throws mostly, if your answers are not the same, it throws those immigration officers off, you know? Like, if you've got, let's say you came with kids from your previous marriage, if you had a previous marriage, they ask you your spouse's kids. You need to know your spouse's kids. Really, if that's your husband and he's got two kids somewhere else, even if your kids don't stay with you, you need to know their kids. You need to know their name. You need to know their birthdays. Those are simple, simple things they will ask you. But some people don't know, or they're not prepared, or they think they're not going to ask them because they're not their children. So that's what throws these officers off. If your husband, supposing he states that he's diabetic or he has high blood pressure, they'll ask you a simple thing like, what kind of medication does he take? What milligrams? I mean, how many milligrams? So such things, such little things, you need to know as a wife. You cannot say you don't know. That will show that something is not adding up here. You know, they'll ask you sometimes like, what was the last holiday you celebrated together? Who was there at your celebration? Because here people believe in people celebrating big holidays together like Christmas, New Year, Thanksgiving. Also, they'll be like, oh, so we just passed Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah, it was last week. So what did you guys do? or who was there with you? Did you get any pictures? And before you get there, I always advise people, get a lot of pictures to show that you guys are together. Don't just assume that, oh, they're going to know that we're together. No, get a lot of pictures. Take the pictures there. Let them have evidence. Let's show them, oh, this is my brother, sister, this is my aunt. A marriage should look real. Once it starts looking fake, then they're going to separate you. And that's what usually fails people. Because when now they separate you, they put you in a different room. This person goes to this room, this other one goes to this room. It's very difficult for you to answer the same questions unless you really, really, really know your spouse that well. But they'll ask you questions which might make it difficult for you to answer. And hence you find that people, even if they were genuinely married, they fail their interview because they'll ask this person this question and this one answers differently and the other one answers differently. So it's better for you to nail it down when you're together. It's just together, like 10 minutes. It'll be easier for you guys to be in and out. So they'll ask you like, oh, what religion do you practice at home? Oh, what was your wedding like? Those are the common questions they ask. And like I said, you need to bring pictures and show them evidence. I mean, even if you didn't have a big wedding, but at least you registered. Maybe some people came and ate lunch with you. Something just to show that you guys were married. You need to have evidence that the marriage took place. Because, I mean, traditionally, if you have a wedding, maybe your parents or your best friend was there, but you cannot just, even if you're locked, when you come back, sometimes people just have a small dinner. They invite close friends, and that's when you get some pictures to go and show them. Okay, this is the dinner we had, and these are the close friends we had, and then you show them. So basically, that's just what happens at the interview. There's nothing complicated about it. It's all the documents, and like when you get married, they will ask you, what do you have in common? Some people have bank accounts. And I know some people complain about bank accounts because they say, hey, sometimes my other partner is not very good with finance. The account you have together should just be that account for everyday things, like for utilities, like where you use the same account for paying water, electricity. That's the one you pay, maybe the mortgage, and that's the one you use for groceries, and that's it. And then if you have you want to have your own side account for your savings, you can have, you're allowed. And if they ask you how many accounts do you have, you can say we have one account for utilities. Then I have my personal account. He has his personal account. Even if they ask you why do you have your own personal account, you are allowed as a person to have your own privacy with your own money. But you do pay as a wife, a husband and wife, you discuss your bills in the house. That's what normal marriages do. So you can say, oh, we have an account for bills. We do pay bills together. But the other savings, I have it. I have it. It's my own name. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you guys got property together, like a house, you can show them you have a house. But usually when people just got married, because by the time you're going for interviews, mostly it's just like 9 months, 6 months. Most people are not prepared to have a big, like a mortgage together and all that stuff. So simple things like maybe a car you go together. That's why people use such things like an account because it's easier to open up an account together, like having huge, huge things like a big house within 2 months of marriage, 3 months of marriage. Yeah, so that's just about that. What else do you need to know? And some people are in different countries, like your spouse came and just filed for you, and then they'll call you at the embassy. When you go at the embassy, again, it's almost the same questions they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you similar questions: how you met your husband, what does your husband do, his birthday, if he's got, they're going to ask all those things. And probably even him, they'll ask him. They might even be doing it at the same time. They're asking you questions, they're asking him questions too. So that they just see that what you're doing is correct and it's not fraud. Because the reason why they want to see that you're really, really married, because marriage-based green card is the easiest for now in the United States. So that's why they're trying to see that if really this is a real marriage or it's just an arranged marriage. But mostly, if you say, like, if I say, if you're prepared, because you set a tone of an interview yourself. Sometimes we put people off from the beginning on our own. You just go so unprepared. You're just pissing off that person. Like, he doesn't have the whole day with you. He's asking you for this document you don't have. You ask you for this document. It gives them a reason to say what's really going on, you know. But if you go prepared, you have everything in file, everything arranged according to what he asks. The first thing, believe me, is going to ask you is for you to swear that what you're going to say is the truth. Then it's going to ask you for ID. So that's the first thing you're going to have on top. Can I have your ID? It shows your ID. I mean, if it's a passport they're using or if it's a driver's license, okay. Can I have a marriage certificate? You show them the marriage certificate. Can I see who's sponsoring? Then your spouse shows. And he shows that by producing, they show it by producing 3A of income tax. They were using the taxes, what we call the RS forms that they filed for 3 years. Because the person also who's petitioning for you must be a law-abiding person, correctly standing. It's not just anybody else, and you think they can file for you. No, they will not give you a green card. You have to prove to the government that I'm responsible and I'll be responsible for this person. So they show their taxes, they show the house where you're staying, even if it's rental, you take a lease, or if it's mortgage, or if you inherited the house, you show that house, the documents. That's what they're going to ask you. Then they're going to ask you who is petitioning now, they're going to ask you for your medical records. So they read the medical records. And a long time ago, people used to scare people that, sometimes if you've got these terminal diseases like HIV, they're going to deny you. At one point, maybe, but now it's not allowed to deny a person based on that. What they just want to find out is, are you controlling the disease yourself? And by them, you have to show that you're on a medication and you're compliant with the medication. You show a letter from your doctor, then they're okay with it. They cannot deny you over that. No. So from there, when they ask you all these questions, all these documents you have, you're good to go. So now the other questions they're just going to ask you, if you've produced all this, they just want to find out if for real you guys are together. So that now they'll be asking you, okay, so where do you live? Where do your children go to school? Or where's the nearest clinic at your house? Or you go to this way, which route do you take? Because they have to find out. And let me tell you something, guys. Those interviewing officers, they do their work, they do their homework. Remember, they give them a case, even when the letter comes to you like a month, probably the interviewing officer was assigned your work like 2 months before you even got your letter. So they do investigate and find out about you. Okay, and if you live already in the states, you have to be very careful because you cannot say you live in Bloomingdale and there are no signs which shows that you live in that area. And there's so many ways they do find out that you live in that area. They don't even have to come physically at your house. In the United States, most people use cards to buy a lot of things, to buy gas. People don't very rarely let people move with cash here. People move with cards. So they'll go to a Walmart, they'll buy food, they'll go to a gas station, they'll buy gas. Even if they're using a train, there's a place where they swipe in a card for their train for their train ticket, and it shows. They have a way of showing. So you cannot say you live in Bloomingdale, but your card everyday movement shows you live in another state like Wisconsin. It doesn't add up. It doesn't really add up. So now when they investigate, and you know the other people who tell them about the area is a mailman. They'll ask the mailman. These mailmen act like they don't know anything. They know a lot. Even the person at the gas station, they will just go to the nearest gas station and they'll find out, does this person ever come to buy gas? Because there's no way you're going to tell me you're never ever at one point going to buy gas. By gas, I mean fuel. Fuel at your nearest gas station. You will at one point go there and buy gas. And these uh, gas attendants, they're very, very observant. They look like they don't pay attention. They pay attention to a lot of things. And you know, they'll make conversations with you. And sometimes you won't even know that they're just trying to find out something for you. They'll be like, okay, so how did you find everything okay with you in here? And you say, oh, yeah, everything was okay. And they'll say, oh, you have an accent. Where are you from? And then you tell them, oh, I'm from this place. Oh, okay. That's enough. That they have knowledge about you. Even when you go there the next time, they know you. And you know, also as people, sometimes we just want to belong. Like I buy gas just at almost the same place, such that even at one point I left my driver's license there. That person kept my card because he knew that one day I was going to go there. And I went there again, I think after 5 days I was buying gas, and he was like, hey, you left your driver's license here. You see, they relate, people relate. And sometimes you even develop this familiarity with them that even sometimes when you're short of something, you can ask them, hey, can I get this? I really don't have money today. Tomorrow I'll bring it. They're like, okay, okay. Because they know you. So that's how these officers, that's how they investigate to find out if you really live there. Or if you stay at the apartment complex, they'll find out. They probably look at the camera or they'll find out at the apartment office, like, "Hey, does this person stay here?" So this is how they find out that if it's fraud or this is not fraud. But usually, if it's not fraud, you know your spouse, even if you don't stay together, you know your spouse very well. But they just want to make sure that what you're doing is correct and it's not fraud. So it's simple, simple questions like that. You answer them 5, 10 questions, you're done. You're out of there. They'll tell you your green card will come in the mail. There's no complication about it. There's no need for you to get intimidated because those people are just doing their job. They're just going there to do their job and that's it. But what I encourage people usually when some people ask me, I tell them, be prepared. Have everything in place. Don't go there unprepared and making the officer try to work so hard to do his job. No, just make sure you have everything in place. You can print all these things down line, print them, and just go step by step, step by step, step by step. That's about it. It's a 10-15 minutes interview, you're done, and you have your green card. So I'll be doing a series of these migration to the United States. I'll be, because we cannot do everything together, just to give our youth an idea of different ways of how they can go to other countries. Because sometimes people just don't even know what to do, you know. So we'll be going step by step. But today I was just trying to give an idea of what takes place at an interview, what documents you need, and what questions you should be prepared to answer when these officers uh, ask you. You need to be prepared, have all those questions be ready to answer once they ask you. Yeah, so this is just a green card interview. This is for if you met your husband or your wife who's an American citizen, what you need to go to when doing interviews. Again, thank you for joining me. We'll be doing a lot of these. I'll be doing a lot of this series in the next few weeks to help out people because there's a lot people don't know what they can use to find themselves in another state. A lot of scholarships, a lot of other clouds you can use. It's a lot you can do, but people just don't know. So sometimes when you have knowledge, share. They say knowledge is power. Otherwise, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining. Lillian, thank you. Dominion Through Prayer Ministries, thank you for joining. Mr. Wheezy, thank you for joining. And again, please go through the video and see exactly what you need. You never know. And for those single ladies, single men, we'll also be giving you websites. You know, this world now has gone digital. Sometimes these are foreign people, you cannot find them in your country, but they're online. So we'll be providing websites where you can find like Christian Mingle and all that stuff to make it easy for you single people to meet. Otherwise, good morning and good night.